Good morning and welcome back to the Backyard Farmer. We're doing sausage today, starting with the Jagerwurst, the German smoked sausage, and we're getting started. My favorite charcuterie book, courtesy of my buddy in Japan, Robbie, or Roberto, or Robbie-san. We've got our stuffer and grinder. We've got our mixing utensils. About 15 pounds of wild boar ground up. We've got some domestic fat from a big fat domestic hog that we're going to mix in with that. And this is a very flavorful sausage. So right here we've got some fresh ground nutmeg. We've got some yellow mustard seeds that we've toasted. We toasted some coriander seeds and ground them up. Just a little bit of pink salt for color and preservative and flavor. Ground ginger. Roasted red bell peppers. Of course, garlic. So we'll put a little bit of wine in it and a little bit of ice water. But those are the key ingredients to the Jagerwurst sausage that we're going to mix together and then smoke for a few hours. So now we've got all the meat and the fat. What I've taken is domestic back fat, which is kind of the fat that they carve off at the butcher shop. And you cut it up into chunks, because the problem is boar is delicious and lean meat, but it's just too lean for sausage. So you need to add about 15 to 20% more fat. There's already some fat in it, so I've kind of backed that off a little bit. But that's kind of what you do. I've also set this tub on a bucket, on a bag of ice, because you really want to try and keep it cold and chilled for as much of the time as humanly possible. So what we're going to do now is add the salt, the pink salt, the black pepper, the toasted coriander seeds, garlic, yellow mustard seeds, nutmeg, and the ground ginger. We're going to mix it all up into this delicious smelling, at least, mixture, and then we're going to stuff it. Then we're going to smoke it. Okay, so now we've got all the spices and all the fat and everything in with the meat here in this tub. We're trying to keep everything on ice because you want it cold all the time, otherwise the fat and the meat separates. So the first thing we're going to do is take a pass through the grinder at the biggest diameter hole on the grinder plate. This one, that's actually the small one. So we're going to go grind the whole thing through the big grinder plate. Then we're going to take half and grind it through the little grinder plate. So with that said, my brand new birthday present from my very generous family, we're going to see how it works. All right. You ever want to know how the sausage is made? Well, here's how it starts.
Need more.
We've got the already ground once boar going through with the chunks of fat. Chops it up, goes through the big grinder, and pushes it out the other end. Loving that. Loving my brand new Cabela's grinder. Thank you, family. So now we've put the fine die, the much smaller diameter die, so as you can see, the sausage is coming out, or the ground meat is coming out much smaller. So we're going to do half, my lovely assistant, Deanna. We're going to do half of the grind fine and half coarse, and that's what the Jagerwurst is calling for. Chunky and fine all together, and then we're going to smoke it for its deliciousness. All right, now everything's ground up. We've got the coarse, we've got the fine, and what you want to do is mix it all together really well. If I was a professional and I had one of those big industrial mixers, or even a KitchenAid, I'd probably do that for 2 or 3 minutes with a paddle. What the objective is to get it really sticky. So the more that you work it, the stickier I think it's enzymes or something, and it gets all mixed together and sticky, so that when you stuff it into the sausage casings, it holds together and doesn't break apart. And then the key is to make sure that you're constantly keeping it cold. So what I'm doing is I'm mixing it and then I'm putting my tub on top of these bags of ice until we're ready. So you never want it to cool down. All right, so you want to know how sausage is made? Here it goes. Well, first of all, it starts with family. Cousin Bruce over here making the sausage. And you put the casings, hog casings in this case, onto the end of it. Use a little oil, it'll slip on a little bit easier, if you know what I mean. And stuff your meat into the sausage. Let it come out slowly. And that, my friends, is how sausage is made. All right, so we stuff the sausage, we tie the sausage, and then we hang it over there for about 2 hours. You let it air dry. It needs to dry out, and that's so that what's called a pellicle, P-E-L-I-C-L-E, the pellicle develops. Then you put it in the smoker, and what happens is the pellicle absorbs and holds on to the smoke during the smoking process. So we're almost cooking these to about 150 degrees internal temperature. All right, so the sausages were hang drying for about 2 hours. Again, drying long enough to get the pellicle going. Now they have been safely put into the smoker, which is just getting started. There you have it. About 4 hours later, keep the smoke going. Use something light. I'm using a little bit of pecan and a little bit of apple on this one. About 4 hours, internal temperature of about 150 degrees. This is your Jagerwurst, German hunter sausage that will be fully cooked through and something to throw in your backpack before a hike.